Chief Washington correspondent, host of Face the Nation, Bob Schieffer, is with us here in New York. Bob, good morning.
Good morning, Charlie.
So Rick Santorum did not do, evidently, what he had to do.
Well, you know, I don't think this was a debate that changed very much, quite frankly. It was obviously Santorum versus Romney, but, you know, I suppose the people that like Rick Santorum going in thought he did well, and those that like Mitt Romney going in thought he did well. But I don't think there was any great moment. But I tell you, you know, I'm kind of like Gail Collins in the New York Times this morning. She said she felt like she felt when the last episode of Downton Abbey was over. I mean, what are we going to do now? You know, there have been 20 of these things. I think they've been great. I think we've learned a lot about each of the candidates. I think last night it was a two-person show, but I'm not sure I would pick anyone as a winner last night.
So where do you think the race is now for the Republican nomination?
Right there. I think it's going to be between Santorum and Romney going in. I don't think Romney has gotten it wrapped up yet, and may not for a while. I think this thing is going to go on. You know, it was interesting last night that Gingrich was almost like the senior spokesman or the senior statesman who just from time to time sort of offered an observation, but he was never really in it. It seemed to me it was the back and forth between Romney and Santorum. I thought the best moment of the night was when they asked Ron Paul why he called Santorum a fake in that ad, and he said, "Well, because he's a fake." Yeah, you know, I mean, he has a way of putting a point.
And then when he said, "Compare yourself to other Congress people," he said, "That's a silly game."
Yeah. Never turns out very well. We want to bring in now Robert Gibbs, senior advisor to President Obama's re-election campaign. He's joining us this morning from the key state of Florida, where the president will attend fundraisers later today. Nice to have you with us this morning. As Bob pointed out, doesn't really seem to be a winner here. Does this change at all the focus then for the Obama campaign, or does it still remain fairly squarely on Mitt Romney with a little bit of Santorum?
Well, look, I think this is certainly going to be an interesting race in the next few days and the next few weeks. I'd pick up on what you guys have said this morning, and that is if you're watching this debate at home, there's not a lot of positive visions that are being offered for how you want to take this country forward. There was a lot of negative distortions and exaggerations. I mean, if Mitt Romney can call himself or describe himself as resolute in this debate, I think that gives you a sense of just how surreal things were. Resolute
was the one word he used to describe himself when asked to do that by the moderator. When you listen to the debate here, it seems clear that all of the Republicans want to center on this question about the president. One, having to do with the role of government, the intrusion of government, whether it's about the church or whether it's about some other aspect of health care. Is that the emerging question of the general election?
No, look, I think the emerging question of this campaign is going to be strengthening this economy and putting people back to work. That's what the president is talking about. The president made a decision, I think struck the right tone, to protect both women's health and to preserve religious freedom. But I think when you look at what the Republicans have talked about in these debates, they're offering very little in the way of positive visions. Mitt Romney spends his time rolling out a tax plan that's a windfall for wealthy Americans and will cost trillions and trillions of dollars and doesn't even attempt to pay for it. So I think, you know, Republicans are doubling down on the disastrous policies that got us into this mess as the president continues to talk about how to put people back to work and strengthening this economy for the middle class.
Is the president worried about gas prices and also what might happen with respect to Iran?
Well, absolutely, Charlie. I think the president's going to be in Miami a little bit later today to talk about energy policy and gas prices. And I think we're going to have an adult conversation with the country. First and foremost, I think it's important for viewers to understand the number of operational oil rigs has quadrupled since the president took office in this country. But we have to understand this. We control 2% of the world's oil reserves, and we use 25% of its oil on any given day. So we are not going to be able to drill ourselves out of this problem. We're going to have to drill. We're going to have to invest in alternative and clean energy sources like solar and wind and biodiesel. We're going to have to look for more natural gas. We're going to have to do a whole host of things an all-of-the-above energy policy.
I want to take advantage of the fact that I have the moderator of Face the Nation here, not only to answer questions, but to ask questions when you hear Robert Gibbs making the case for the president.
Do you, Robert, think that these, let me put it to you this way. They're saying we've had 20 of these debates. A lot of people are saying this is the last one, at least the last one scheduled. Do you want to see some more of them? Do you think this is helping the president or hurting the president when the Republicans come out here so often as they have?
Well, look, I think if you're an independent or an undecided voter and you tuned into last night's debate, I don't doubt at all that you have been turned off by the type of nasty, negative, carpet-bombing distortions on each other and on the president's record. I don't sense that they're talking about the issues that people care most about. That's what the president's spending his time talking about. Bob, I don't think there's any doubt that we got more out of Downton Abbey than we have out of these 20 debates.
What did you get out of Downton Abbey, Robert?
I watched all those episodes. It's a wonderful miniseries. I can hardly wait for the third season.
And you'd love to have a house like that when you leave the White House, right?
Yeah, a couple, sure.
Luckily,
Robert,
the third season is filming now.
Robert Gibbs, thank you very much for joining us from Florida. Bob Schieffer, it's always great to have you here.